Welcome to creating standard operating procedures for your Canadian-based cannabis company. My name is Abby, and I will be your narrator throughout this video. This video will briefly review what standard operating procedures are, provide an example of how to create the two types of SOPs commonly used, and explain how to enter content under section headings of the standard operating procedure. Before we get started, let me say that if you want to improve your SOP writing to be compliant with Canadian-based acts, regulations, and industry standard, please continue to watch the other videos in the series, which will tell you how to structure your SOPs, explain which SOPs are commonly used for operating your medical cannabis company, teach you how to map out your processes, tell you what to put in your SOPs, like we're doing in this video, and then show you where to find information to support your SOPs, as well as explain who should write your SOPs. So what is an SOP? Well, an SOP, if you can picture this, is your procedures, your actual physical steps captured on paper. It is also a document that is required by the cannabis regulations. It is important to have SOPs because they provide the step-by-step instructions needed to complete specific tasks. They must be current to the time of use. An outdated SOP is a dangerous SOP. They are effective business tools. They are the foundation of your operations. Why do you need an SOP? Well, you need to meet regulatory requirements, as mentioned before, to adopt industry standards, demonstrate controls at your facility and in processes, plan and establish programs that maintain particular standards, perform tasks, activities in a consistent manner, and to continuously improve your processes. There are two types of SOPs that are common in the industry, and those are 1, your master SOP, and 2, your operational SOP. We will cover more of these in the upcoming slides. So why do we need to really have SOPs in place? Well, it is the law. Cannabis and anything that will be used as an ingredient must be produced, packaged, labeled, distributed, stored, sampled, and tested in accordance with standard operating procedures. SOP should include all steps necessary to be in compliance with good production practices with a view to avoiding adverse impacts on the quality of the cannabis. This is regulation and must be followed. Here are some examples of areas that you will need your SOPs for. These are key operational areas and elements of your quality management program. Sanitation of the building and sanitation of equipment, personnel, health and safety and daily hygiene, distribution, transfer, and receipt of cannabis and cannabis products, as well as other ingredients, production and processing, sampling and testing, packaging and labeling, storage, among many others. We will delve more into the many SOPs that are needed to run your medical cannabis company. Even though SOPs to some degree can be discretionary, there are some that are mandatory. We will cover the mandatory ones in this series of slides. There are principles or practices to demonstrate compliance with SOPs requirements under the cannabis regulation. Some of these are having a system in place to review procedures on a regular basis and revise them as needed. Having a system in place so that when a deviation from an SOP occurs, the details of that deviation can be captured, documented in a report in accordance with an SOP. Personnel who conduct activities described in an SOP are provided with training on that SOP. Training is provided and documented prior to the implementation of new or revised SOPs. These are just a few of the principles or practices you can put in place at your facility to demonstrate compliance with the SOP requirements. There are two common types of SOPs. The master SOP, which is your strategic document that sets out the steps necessary to put programs in place to develop and maintain quality and meet regulatory requirements. The operational or instructional SOP is a supporting SOP, and it is typically written at a grade 7 level of comprehension. It is clear, concise, step-by-step instructions to perform the task as desired. Before you decide to write any SOP, it is important for you to prepare well. Know the cannabis industry that you are planning on entering. Know the legal and regulatory agents of your medical cannabis business in Canada. Understand what the legal requirements and industrial standards are for your medical cannabis company in Canada. Be familiar with the class and subclass you are under and what that means in terms of your products, services, practices, and your SOPs. Be able to develop compliance programs with linear, non-looping procedures and have effective checklists to guide self-inspection. By putting these things in place, you will develop a strong quality system with good customary practices. Here's some best SOP development tips. First of all, use a set template for all of your SOPs. Design quality into all of your processes and your procedures. Base master SOPs on the regulatory requirements for the industry. Focus operational SOPs on safety, consistency, and product quality. So here's an example of how to map out steps in the procedure. This is not mapping out steps in a process. A process will have a number of procedures, and those procedures will have a number of specific steps. This example is about mapping out the steps that are to be taken as part of a product recall. So the SOP we are referring to here is SOP number 1, 2, 3, product recall. Step 1 would be to capture the details. So an example is you would have qualified personnel, and in this case, the qualified personnel that we will start with for this example is the customer service representative. The customer service representative is instructed to do the following when a product complaint occurs. 1. Receive the inbound call, the letter, or the complaint in whatever form it presents. Obtain information about the complainant using the customer complaint form. Date and sign the customer complaint form. Then forward the completed customer complaint form to the department manager. The next player or personnel is the department manager. The department manager has the responsibility to review the customer complaint form and determine the nature of the complaint, then document this on the form in the specified section for such information. Once that is done, the department manager will forward the customer complaint form to the quality assurance person. Those are two short procedures or aspects of this procedure that are carried out by two different personnel. The third person that's going to come into play here is the quality assurance person, who would have his or her own set of procedures to follow under the product recall standard operating procedure. In the next video, learn to write effective SOPs for your medical cannabis company, Part 3. We will write a basic operational SOP following cannabis regulations and industry guidelines. And in this video, you will understand what goes under the section headings. We've come to the end of part 2, and we want to encourage you to take a look at an upcoming series of videos we've got for medical cannabis license producers application process. It explains how to apply for your Canadian medical license, cannabis license producer's license, and it gives you tips on how to find information to improve your processes. And finally, don't forget to like and subscribe to get the latest videos and tips, and thank you for watching.